Bishop, you have a 4-point plan for the diocese, for parishes, even for individuals, maybe.
Right.
So we're going to go through those. The first aspect is education. So could you explain a little bit about that?
Well, I think it's important that that people be educated about the gospel of life, and I think sometimes that we get so saturated with the culture of death and with so much of what the popular culture says that we forget what Jesus said, and so that's why education and formation is important for the good disciple, that we rediscover the gospel of life so that we can also be messengers of that gospel.
Mm-hmm. And what is the pastoral care aspect of the 4-point plan?
Well, that the gospel of life does give life, and so for us as disciples of that gospel, that we have to be engaged in giving life, and so that's caring for the poor, and particularly caring for mothers, who are dealing with an unexpected pregnancy, looking for how we can care for families and support them, care for the sick, and making them, particularly the elderly, the frail elderly, to make sure they don't feel abandoned or alone. Those are ways that that we put the gospel of life into action.
And what about prayer and worship? How is your spec life?
Well, in many ways, it really does start all there. I mean, because our prayer and worship, we're talking about the core, the sacramental life of our faith. And we have to be the sacrament of God's mercy in the world. But in order for us to be effective at that, we've got to be we've got to be immersed in that sacramental life. So prayer and worship, and particularly the Eucharist, is just essential. It has to be at the heart of living the gospel of life.
And the last is advocacy.
The political world and the laws that govern our society, we as Catholics have to be always working at creating laws that respect the dignity of life. And there are laws out there that are not good laws, that do not serve the common good, that do not uphold human dignity, and that oftentimes actually violate the rights of the most vulnerable. And so that it's our duty as citizens, as faithful citizens, faithful to the Lord Jesus, that we work to try to change those laws and to cultivate a society that where the most vulnerable among us is respected, cherished, and is able to participate in the fullness of life.